Hi, everyone. Welcome to our LinkedIn Live today. We're celebrating Women's History Month and March Madness by rewriting the playbook for women's investment. I want to tell you how excited I am to connect today and have a conversation about women in venture capital with a woman who I really admire. Today, in the spirit of women's history, we're not just commemorating the past, we're actively shaping the future. And ladies, it's our first time when we have the power, wealth, and influence to actively shape the future and do it on our own if need be. So I want you to take a deep breath. I want you to imagine a landscape where women's values and our contributions to startups, to venture capital, become a narrative of strength and resilience and unprecedented success. I have the data, and this is not just a fantasy. This is a celebration of the women like Tessa Flippin, who is here with us today, who are rewriting the script for future generations. We're diving into a conversation today where every financial decision that we make has a ripple effect and can really be part of creating a movement. I want you to imagine yourself as the person who is part of a generation of women who are fueling the companies of tomorrow where we're going to work, where our daughters are going to work. And so you're not just a passive listener today. I'm asking you to join our lineup, to join us in this Women's History Month and making history together. All right, so this is the problem that I want you to just hear, but we're going to change it, and we're doing it together. Only 2% of all of the money fueling the companies of tomorrow, the venture capital funding, is going to companies founded by women. This doesn't make any sense. It's absolutely bad business, and we have to change it. My name is Julie Castro-Abrams. I'm the CEO of How Women Lead, which is a nonprofit. We are breaking ceilings individually and collectively in this organization. We're trying to shift the culture, to a massive cultural shift. And we create pathways together for women like you to have more power and influence, wealth, and impact. I want you to run the world, and I want us to do it together. And we're going to create the world that we want our daughters to live in. We're done waiting for a seat at the table. And so we started a campaign to get 10,000 women to invest in venture capital for the first time. We want you to join us as making a power play by investing in venture capital. I just want you to lean in and start to learn about it and understand that you're invited, that there's a seat at the table waiting for you. I'm really happy today because Tessa and I are colleagues and partners in this change. And I'm the general partner of How Women Invest. It's a venture capital firm that only funds companies founded by you, by women, by the women solving the problems that are most important for us. And today joining me is Tessa Flippin, who's the founder and general partner of Capitalize VC, a venture fund investing in high growth tech companies and underrepresented founders who are building the scalable platforms and solutions in e-commerce enablement, commerce infrastructure, fintech, creator economy, and all kinds of small business technologies. In particular, increasing the access and growth funding for diverse founders. And this is the big win where we're all going to make money. So before we dive in, I want to invite Tessa to share our credo, our commitment to changing the culture together. And we want to invite you to sort of lean into this and think about if you walked into every room and you knew that people were going to treat you this way and that the opportunities would be there for you, how it would feel. Tessa, would you share our credo?
Yes, I will. First of all, thank you for having me, Julie. So the credo that I'm going to share today is 1, be fierce advocates for each other. 2, say yes to connecting each other. 3, reinforce her voice. And 4, the most important, which is be unabashedly visible.
You know what I love about this is it is the opposite of the culture that has been so hard on us. So many of us, like there's actually documentation that the culture and our experience in the culture makes us sick because there's just constant microaggressions and challenges. And if we can create a safer, better environment and we can all change the culture together, we're all going to be better. So Tessa, let's talk a little bit about the current landscape. I said that only 2% of venture funding is going to companies founded by women. Even less is going to companies founded by Black women and Latinas. What are you seeing as some of the biggest issues or some of the biggest challenges you're seeing? And why is that? I'm going to flip it on its side and say, why is that a big opportunity for us today?
Yeah, I think that, I'm seeing a lot of diverse founders, like really, really talented founders that are coming to my fund and others' funds looking for funding. And what they're saying is that it's really difficult out here, especially in this economy today. And we're seeing that, diverse founders and underrepresented founders and women founders are the ones that first the capital gets pulled from. And so I think the opportunity really is to continue to invest in these founders that have seen a little bit of an increase over the past few years, but making sure that we're continuing that going forward into the future, because I think that's truly where the returns lie, because these founders are developing products and solutions that really speak to diverse communities. And we haven't seen that before.
Well, and this is what's kind of interesting. If everybody, it's just basic. One, women and people of color return more for their investors. Black women return the most for their investors of anyone else. So it's really bad for the economy and for economic returns of anyone investing in this asset class if you're not paying attention to that. But you just talked about solutions that we all need. I'm a 56-year-old woman. Right now, today, I have more disposable income than I've ever had in my life. My kids are gone. I paid for college. I'm done. There's not enough products and services for women in menopause. We'll pay a lot of money for those solutions. To me, it's like a blue ocean of opportunity for anybody who is, trying to drive growth and make money. This is investing in Tessa, investing in anyone who knows and understands the products and services that we need in the marketplace. Our firm, our new table platform that we put together, where you and like 49 other women-run venture firms are making sure people know about what the offer is and what's possible. It's really about values-based investing. Have you, Tessa, had conversations with people when you're having conversations about investing, about people's values? Like, how does that show up? And how do you, as a venture leader, think about, investing aligned with your values and things that are important to you?
Yeah, so I think this is really, really important, because today in the world, we're seeing that we're seeing like current events today where, it's completely driven by greed and by wealth. And so I think it's kind of the future of investing, to be honest, investing for financial return, but also investing for social impact. And so people investing into what they care about, I think, is necessary in order for us to take care of our planet, in order for us to take care of the people on the planet, and in order for us to start reducing some of these like disparities in wealth and disparities in health and disparities in education, and quite frankly, saving the planet that we live on. And so by investing in funds that are doing this kind of work, you're kind of joining a community and coming onto the front lines in supporting the founders that are building kind of the next generation of social impact opportunities to drive also financial return.
Yeah. So you're working largely in sort of the e-commerce space, right?
Mm-hmm.
We have one portfolio company that literally is creating an ESG measuring tool for any e-commerce company that's on their platform.
Yeah.
That gives people choice. It gives you visibility, and it demystifies it for us. Another that is reducing the climate impact of delivering like your favorite kombucha or whatever that micro delivery is. And so to me, I look at like, yes, you got to get products to where people need them. But if you can do it in a way that actually already takes advantage of somebody else who's already on the road and doubles down and finds those opportunities, you save money. You get the products to the communities and neighborhoods and places that you need. And then it also reduces climate impact. So there's so many ways. Do you have a company like that you just love, where you've seen sort of that values makes good business sense?
Yeah, I think so. We invest mostly in tech companies, but we also do invest in CPG. And so we have two companies in our portfolio. They're based here in the US, actually here in Chicago. And one is called Hana Hana Beauty. She is a Ghanaian founder who is sourcing shea butter for her body care line from Ghana. And so a huge part of her kind of value proposition is like, we're creating products for women, for people of color. The products work better for you because they're developed with that in mind.
Yeah.
But in addition to that, she's really focused on like creating a sustainable supply chain and making sure that the shea butter that she's sourcing directly from the continent is pure, is paid for with a livable wage, so that we can continue to like drive the harvesting of these raw materials in a way that can exist in the future.
She's
Sorry.
such a beautiful example. I've worked with over 6,000 women to start their own companies and done microloans for them and other types of support and financing. And almost without exception, women start companies that have it, whether it's the product itself solves a problem or just how they do business, like sourcing from somebody who needs, job opportunity or needs a market. And I feel like you almost just have to say women, and then you know that you're likely to get high levels of impact and values alignment. Let's talk a little bit about the people who are listening on this call that could be venture investors. I loved how you talked about how important this is to people. I feel like in my own life, I'll say women who are in what they call middle essence, having an impact and doing with other women is what makes you happy. So it's really right size for anybody who's my age, but my kids are in their 20s and early 30s, and they absolutely are looking at the supply chain and where things are sourced from and the impact on the environment and the culture. And if somebody is behaving badly, they're out of there. They won't be on the platform or use the service.
It's called They're Canceled.
Yeah, there you go. Right. Who do you feel like is your ideal investor? Like who do you want to partner with you on your fund?
I want to partner with people where I don't have to explain the problem. I want to get on a call with somebody and they already know that diverse founders are undercapitalized. They already know that women founders need additional capital investment in order to bring the returns that we've talked about today. But I also want to partner with people who can add value to the companies that we're investing in. So, we're investing in supply chain technology companies, fulfillment software, sales tech, advertising and marketing tech. So if you have built your career at Amazon and now you're, maybe looking to retire, but you have all of these years of experience, those are the perfect people to become keys because you can actually add value to the portfolio companies that we're investing in. And you have a perspective and probably a network that they can tap into in order to meet the people that they need to meet in order to be successful.
Which is so rewarding and fun. Is it required of all your LPs or just an opportunity?
No, it's just an opportunity. I mean, we definitely have LPs that are here's my check, don't call me.
Yeah.
And of course, we love those ones too. But I think the value that, an LP can bring to the table is always something that we consider and we love to see. So.
Yeah. So when I think about investors, so an investor is a limited partner when you talk about a venture firm, and that's an LP. Let me demystify some of the lingo and the opportunities for you. So when I first was introduced to investing, someone said, "Oh, you have to be an accredited investor." And I thought, I am too busy to go fill out a bunch of government forms. And I'm not sure I want everybody to see my bank account. And, it kind of felt really intrusive. And then I realized oh, you don't actually have to go get accredited by anyone. You just have to attest, I make enough money. So $200,000 a year if you're an individual, 300 if you're a household. So there's some different ways that you can, there's just the Securities Exchange Commission is just trying to make sure it's safe for you. So I think the other thing to know is there are a ton of different ways you can engage with a venture firm. Tessa and I both probably have very similar philosophies, which is we'd love to take advantage of your brilliant brain and your operating experience and your networks, but it's not required. Others, all you do is invest and wait for the returns to come. Let's talk about the other things people need to know about investing in ventures. So it's demystified, right? So you feel like you're invited. How long of a term is your fund?
So our investment term is 3 to 5 years. The full term of the fund is 10 years.
Great.
So
if I'm an investor, I invest money and you're going to take advantage of that money and make investments in the first 3 to 5 years. And then the plan is that by 10 years, all those companies have some kind of an exit and you return all the capital plus, right?
Yeah.
And right now, I actually think we're coming out of it, but we've been in a period where capital's been constricted, the markets were down, and a lot of companies were undervalued or the values were cut in half. Sometimes it was a good thing, if you ask me. What is your belief about right now as a time to invest?
Yeah. I think in general, everybody should be allocating, and I am not an accountant or a financial advisor, but I think everybody should be allocating some amount of their, disposable income to high risk, high return investment opportunities. And so that is venture capital. And I think it's because there's this huge opportunity to build wealth in this asset class. And venture capital is the highest returning asset class, also the riskiest, but you can't participate in that wealth creation opportunity if you're not in the game. And so starting obviously small and getting your feet wet with a small investment as, an LP or an angel, although angel investing is even a bit more risky than LP investing, in my opinion. But I think getting involved, learning about the asset class through that investment is a great way to start. But right now, I think is a really interesting time because the economy is not great right now. And hopefully we are coming out of it. But as you were mentioning, like right now is when you get the best bargain for your dollar. And so as I'm looking to, as the fund manager of Capitalize, to go and invest in future capitalized portfolio companies, right now we're getting in at valuations that are maybe half of what they were 2 years ago. It's similar to the stock market. Like you want to get in low and sell high. And so right now, this is the time when you get in low. So I think as a fund manager, our fund doesn't invest over a $10 million valuation cap. And right now we're seeing like $5 million valuation caps. And so we're getting a lot of great bargains.
Yeah. And so in addition to the fact that you can get more for your money, and then when the market rebounds, in concept, we're all going to have a big upswing. So right now, today is the interesting time. The other thing that's interesting, if you look historically, the biggest, most famous companies that we know, they started during an economic downturn because talent was easier to access. There's all kinds of different, and sometimes you lost your job and you're like, all right, well, I've been thinking about doing this company. I might as well start it now. So DocuSign, SpaceX, Facebook, Tesla, Yelp, Wayfair, ServiceNow, they were all like founded in like the 2000s, but then Airbnb and others in another wave of a downturn. So being part of that, also that cultural upswing, if we can infuse women and people of color right now who are starting the best companies where they're what I call a blue ocean of opportunity, where we haven't solved problems yet. There's not a lot of competition. I think that's sort of a big, big win. So can we talk specifically about some of your companies? Like who have you invested in recently that you want everybody to know about?
Yeah. So we did a deal in January into a company called Symphony. So Latino founder, not a woman founder. I'm sorry.
That's okay. I'm married to a Latino, so I like them.
Yeah. And
oh, good.
They're in the e-com space, a sales tech company. And I'm really excited about this company because I think they are solving a problem that is only going to become more of a problem in the future. And that's like something from a venture perspective that we call tailwinds. Like the tailwinds are behind them, the wind is in their sails, and they're just kind of going off into
ready to fly.
Yeah. And so they are helping brands to figure out how to leverage all the platforms like at their fingertips to go to market and hopefully to sell more and to be the most profitable in their selling to consumers. And so if you think about an early stage brand, like they have the opportunity to sell on Amazon or stand up their own Shopify website or partner with Walmart and sell on shelf on Walmart.com. And so like those opportunities are only going to multiply as the years pass. And so for a brand from a CEO's perspective, making those decisions of like, how should I segment my inventory? How much should I sell on Amazon versus Shopify versus Walmart? And so this company is basically helping them solve that really complicated math problem with like a subscription offering that helps them to make those decisions.
All right. So if you're listening and you're like, I want to be in on that kind of game-changing technology, I really want to encourage you to think about there's no time like the present. And you're in this, the whole point of our call today. I want all of you, and then I want you to tell 10 friends to really think about like you're invited in. Women and women of color in particular have not been invited in the past. It feels like it's something for somebody else. And Tessa and I are here to tell you today, you're invited. This is for you. You can make that kind of money. You can generate for yourself, leave it to your kids. Like you're up. This is your opportunity. And I think sometimes when I feel like I want to complain about the culture and pay inequity and all kinds of other things, I think, all right, well, I'm going to get to work fueling women and women of color run companies so that we can change it for the future. So you've inspired me, Tessa. Your energy is infectious. And I want to say thank you for joining us. Let's talk a little bit more. I've been talking about values and impact, right? What is the impact, can be the impact of some of the stuff that we invest in. and often like there's outdated stuff. We just need to change the market. Do you have examples of companies that you're like, wow, this is like making beautiful social impact in addition to making me a lot of money?
Yeah. So I think,
Like I saw you invest in Cribby coffee.
yeah,
Like, yeah.
yeah. So we've invested in Creepy Coffee. I would say actually one of our brands is probably the best to talk about in this sense, just because I think their impact is so front and center because they are selling to consumers. And as you were saying, like with your daughter, like she wants to hear that story. And that's really important in her making the decision to purchase. And so Creepy is a Chicago-based coffee company. They source all of their coffee from Cameroon, from farms that they actually own in Cameroon. So they own a lot of their supply chain. And then they air roast those beans here in Chicago. And so air roasting is, a more sustainable way of making coffee, but also it's better tasting. And so when we invested, they had 2 brick and mortar coffee shops here on the west side in Oak Park. But since we invested and we brought one of our family office partners in on the deal with us to co-invest alongside of us, and they've now expanded to 4 locations, and they're standing up an entire like warehousing facility here in Chicago. So not only are they like creating opportunities for people to have great tasting coffee, they're donating to causes globally to kind of share in that mission with their consumers, but they're also creating so many jobs within the community that they're working in. Yeah.
Isn't that beautiful? We've invested in that. And I think there's a question in the chat about what company you were talking about before. I think that was Symphony. So, we've invested in a company called Baby Quip, run by a Latina founder. She's way over where you're at in terms of investing stage. Otherwise, I'd say come join me. But she made $16 million last year. And the whole idea is, when you go, she says she saves the family vacation. So when you're on a family trip and you're like trying to check in and carry all the heavy equipment for your kid, the stroller and the car seat, someone brings you a brand new clean one every time you need it, which is wonderful. But she also created something called a quality providers, or that's the role. And it's actually their own company. I think they'll get 1099. And over 2,000 women are making, I think on average, $1,500 a month of supplemental income. Like, yeah, great. We're solving the family vacation problems, but it's also freaking amazing to have all of this new economic vibrancy for women, stay-at-home moms, right? Is there, Tessa, I mean, you are so inspiring. When you think about sharing with somebody, like, why should you think as a woman, what's your advice to them about why they should invest in venture? You said it's a, high reward asset class, but why and how would you think that they should think about it?
Yeah. So I think why is kind of like what we spoke about before. I think venture is like this really interesting way to invest along your values into things that you care about, and then see that very tangibly like come to fruition. So for those of you that are looking to, help out portfolio companies, like that's always something that fund managers are like, yes, please, like join me in supporting them. And so that's kind of, I think, the why, at least in my mind, in addition to, creating wealth for you and your family and generations to come. And then how is really having conversations like this, first of all, making sure that people know how to get involved. And I think the best way to get involved is to get on a platform like yours, where you're listing all of these like women fund managers that are raising right now. And for someone looking to become an LP, like we want to hear from you. Like it's hard for us to like go and source people who want to be LPs. But when those people come to us and they send me a cold email, or they fill out the form on my website, or they send me a, LinkedIn message, I'm like, thank you. So it's kind of just like cutting to the chase and being like, okay, let's have this conversation really tangibly about how we can get you involved. And so I think it starts with a conversation and finding fund managers that you really love.
So for everybody who's joining us today, I want to invite you to literally join us, sign up for the new table. And basically this is saying, I want to look into investing in venture. And what Tessa just said is really how it works. We have all these women-run venture firms. You can find somebody who is in your neighborhood, or somebody who you think is doing interesting stuff that you know something about, or that aligns with your values. And, we say, talk to 3 of them. get to, understand how they think about their investing and just start to lean in. There's sort of no pressure. It's really about all of us stepping into the power and influence of this opportunity. I think what you're hearing from Tessa and I is like, yeah, you can invest and walk away, but you can also meet people, have fun, share your own skill set. And I would say by investing in venture, you're really leaning into a power play. I've had people, really, really senior people, like CFO of a company, a public company, say to me that one, no one had ever invited them to invest in venture, but also that people were looking at them as sort of in a very narrow way. Actually, I think one of my friends who was a general counsel of a firm said that. She's like, they just think about me as the lawyer. Well, once she put that she invested how women invest on her LinkedIn, she said people took a second look, and pretty quickly after that, she started getting board opportunities. You want to be seen as somebody who gets it, understands how money works, how the capital markets work. And I want you to really understand this is the power play that women and women of color need today if we're going to create the future we want tomorrow. There's a lot of garbage going on, a lot of noise, a lot of hate and anger and messiness of people who seem like they don't want us to move forward. Tess and I are building the container for you. We're not listening to that nonsense. We are building the future. We are undaunted. And I love Chicago. I lived in Chicago for 20 years. I really admire what you're doing, Tessa. And I can't wait to invest alongside you in a bunch of those companies that you are seeding and getting started with your capital, but all of your expertise as well. I just want to say, give a gift to the women around you and really think about how you can invite them to join you in thinking about, investing in venture capital, going on boards, just learning more about some of these power plays where you can really set the future. And we want to make sure our financial decisions hit it out of the park. And the best bet, frankly, is women and women of color, especially Black women, if you want to make a lot of money. That's what the data says. I'm not your financial advisor, but I'm telling you, the data is very clear. So I hope that you'll join us and that you'll feel like this really amplifies the things that are most important to you and the values for you. So thank you so much, Tessa. Thanks for everybody who joined us today. We're really excited, as you can tell, about the future of the women founders that are so fierce and courageous, and all of us doing it in partnership, in sisterhood, and a new table of power and influence. Thanks for joining us, everyone.
Thank you.